Hey guys, me again, Orkslayer. What ifs? Where we last left off? Let's see. Checking. Where we last left off, I believe we had Sato and Izumi ready to murder Deku in this practice fight. Yep, I was right. As Izumi and Sato make their way in, Deku's just waiting silently, just thinking in his head that he knows he's kinda outmatched. That he doesn't have any sort of psychic powers, and well, Izumi's a pretty good psychic. Or psyker. Then he has Sato, who's been training with him for ages, who knows Deku's moveset pretty well with how he fights. He's confident, you could call, in who can defeat him on their own. And especially with Sato's quirk, if they play this right, Deku will go down in a matter of minutes come with them. As he has Sato in very high regard to one of the strongest in this little chapter that they have, and Izumi being pretty close to one of the strongest psychers he'd probably ever know. As he stands there just ready, waiting for them to come, he starts hearing the thumping, just thump, thump, thump. As Sato and Izumi are making their way pretty slowly, it's like, alright.
Keep your eyes out, keep your ears open. She's like,
so I have a question about how my ears are pointy. He's like, what?
No! As he's just like, okay. As in the
waiting and waiting, they feel thump, 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 as in a crash through the wall. Everyone in the room that's seeing this are like, wow, look at that! As Deku has waited until he could hear them as he charges through the wall. As he sort of tries to single out Izumi, Sato pretty much tackles him forward as he's like,
Izumi, go find the bomb! And she's like,
what? The two of us together can...
He's like, it'll take us too long to take him down. He has to waste our time. She's like, oof.
I think this is wrong, but fine. As she runs off to go deal with it. As Deku, is able to regain his balance as he sort of wrestles, sort of wrestles Sato into a position, as then he's bigger than him, as he sort of grabs him by the arm and sort of throws him. As Sato hits the walls and hits the ground. As Deku tries to rush after Izumi, Sato comes lunging in again with a punch as he smashes the ground to bits. As Deku's like, you need to
watch out, Sato, this is a building. It can't take us smashing it to pieces.
As Sato's like, As he closes his fist, it's like, it doesn't matter to me at this moment. Deku's like, alright. I believe... By now, Bakugo can't do it, since, you gotta be younger. Sorry, I had to go and look it up again. Sato, for a refresher, has a war hammer and a power fist. Very heavy-duty weapons that he's actually... It took a bit of sugar, so Deku's feeling it. And Deku has a power maul and a giant, a shield. As Deku is running through his head, he has to avoid those weapons because Sato is able to swing them around now pretty easily thanks to him activating his quirk. Sato pushes in close as he swings the hammer, causing it to slam through walls. As Deku then tries to swing at him with his power mace, getting a few bits and pieces in the air, as then Deku feels Hooah! As he feels that he's been hit in the chest with a power fist, as he's sort of sent flying back, as he sticks his arms out and just slams him into the wall to slow him down. He's like, well done,
Sato. As he spits, he's like, you've done well. As then he
retreats for now, as Sato's like, get back here! As he starts running after him, Deku actually having the speed advantage. He dodges left and right, running down the halls, as he starts making his way upward. Knowing that Izumi can, not to be rude to Momo, but can pretty much mop the floor with Momo. Momo has fortified the area. She's put bars upon bars on the doors, and a few chains even. She's like, oh, took a lot of stuff. But here, as she has a little taser and such, stuff like that, she's like, alright, remember what Deku told me. Ooh. With Izumi, shocker. Probably be the best thing you can do. I don't know, because she'll probably just redirect gas towards you if you try to use that. Her psyker powers are annoying to deal with. We had to kill Izumi as he used it, or subdue Izumi. We would probably need a good 3 squads of Space Marine to do so. That's just so she has more targets to concentrate on. Guys are like, alright. So I shock her. It's like, yep, lie in wait. Then shock her. This is like, alright. She's waiting. She doesn't see Izumi approaching anytime soon. And she's listening down as she can hear the smashing of walls and everything being torn apart. This continues on for 5 minutes. As soon the time for them to, like, well, not 5 minutes. I believe it was like 20 minutes they were given. So this drones on and on and on. As she just hears, as she can feel that in the vibrations that they're getting higher up. As eventually at one point, Deku came across Izumi. As then she sent like lightning bolts and everything towards him. As when he dodged out of the way, Sato got a face full of that stuff. As it just like bzzz. As Izumi's like, Sato, are you okay? Deku came over and sort of tried to punch her, but not full force, because, you know, if he did, he'd probably hurt her severely. Izumi threw up one for, you know, protective shields to defend her against, you know, Deku's insane strength. As she tries to back away with Sato, as she tries to like get Sato back up, he's like, oh, I'm trying to heal. As he's somewhat able to get back up and shakes it off, he comes over again and slams Deku, or tries to, with his hammer. Like, go to the top level. Stop searching the individual ones. As Deku pretty much calls up to Izumi, Momo, they're on their way. You need to just hold out for a bit longer. As in, it's like 5 minutes remaining. They're really coming now. As Izumi just rushes up the stairs, Deku tries to follow, but Sato won't let him. As Deku uses his speed advantage, grabs Sato and just slams him through the lower floors. As he jumps over, Sato's like, no, we're gonna win this. There's a possibility of beating Deku. As he starts chasing after Deku, with Izumi like almost there, as she pretty much just takes her and just blasts through the door, Momo comes over and tries to like shock her. As Izumi's like, I'm sorry, Momo. As she pretty much knocks the stuff out of her hand and knocks her out, or like forces her against a pillar. She runs over and is just about to touch it as, well, she does. As Deku just gets there, barely missing Izumi. As Izumi put like a force field over the door so nothing could get in, as he just smashed through a wall, as then it's like, heroes win! Deku's like, oh, should have gotten more serious in the beginning, but I did not want to severely hurt Sato. As Sato like gets up there, he's like, ha, we won, Deku. As he sort of is just like, it's a bit shaky. He's like, my head. Like, sorry, Sato, I used a bit more power than I was expecting to. He's like, it's fine, Deku. I could take it, like you said. With my quirk, my muscles get even harder too. So, you know, it was kind of worth it. He's like, I hope so. So, as they move on, and the rest of the tests go very similar to how they do in the original. Forget who Momo and I believe Izumi's replacing Mineta. I think Invisigirl is still here. I never got onto that subject, did I? Shit. Well, let's just move on from the subject. Mineta's gone. Yeah. What's her name? I forget. Anyways. As they move on with this, they're leaving for the day, as when Deku and all of them were, like, got back, All Might sort of gave them a bit of a heads up of what they did wrong in the tests, as they were sort of told that nearly brought down that entire building. And Izumi, good job trying to search every level. But sometimes you can't do that and you gotta be quicker about it. She's like, I'm sorry. Momo, good defense. She's like, thank you, sir. As for the rest of you, good job. Deku and all of them head back, just trying to relax. As they all get home, Deku and Sato have their armor stay there as it's recharging from that little melee that they had. Deku and Sato talk about having more of their equipment imported here. They sort of talk about it as the Mechanicus want to have some people on guard, as that's what they have Mr. Yaoyorozu talk to school about, is that the armor that they have made is one of the most secret things that they have done, and it's like top secret. They're not going to unveil it, and they were planning on unveiling it at Eye Island, and they would appreciate it if they could have people there to watch over the gear and such, to make sure it stays completely locked behind closed doors, as you would say, and that they're willing to pay even more so to have it done that way. Power Loader actually somewhat understands this and actually speaks on their behalf, stating that technology like this can be if it's found out that they've made a suitable thing of power armor, they could be badgered or people could try even steal it. It would make sense to let us, like, have them have security here. It's like, very well. Those students, though, that they have, Izuku, Midori, and Sato, they are quite strong, aren't they? As it's like, yes, they are, actually. Probably some of the strongest we've seen in quite a while. Nezu says, I would like to see them grow even stronger. If they have any other extra gear that Mr. Yaoyorozu has prepared for them, let them bring it in. I would like to see more of this weaponry, as we would call it. As Sato's like, as he speaks to Mechanicus, they said it was alright to send over extra weapons and such that they have earned over the years. As they get Deku's spear, his sword, his bolters, and then they get Sato, his other power fist, his storm bolt, another bolter, hammer, another power ball, stuff like that. They just add on to the pile that they have. This is quite a lot of weapons. As then they get to the plasma guns, as each of them, Deku has a plasma gun, as he has used it once or twice before to deal with something dangerous. The Mechanicus isn't really happy as they are fine with leaving stuff there with Mechanicus guard. But what they aren't happy, though, is that Power Loader is actually insisting on checking out the gear and such, so that way his students in the support course who make these types of support items could get a feel of what pros typically use in the field. As Sato and them are the Mechanicus give strict orders that nobody aside from their engineers are allowed to bear witness, as they would put it like that, to their creations. So I was like, these guys must be really passionate. As May talks about she's like, these are amazing. She wants to get her hands on some of them, but the Mechanicus are like, no. As it's like, no, flesh bag, these are not yours. As Hatsume's kind of confused, flesh bag? Flesh bag? As it's like, oh, shush. You are not worthy to touch our great mechanical gifts. As she isn't weirded out. She treats her technology like it's her own baby. So, As they talk about that, they won't mind looking at theirs and giving their opinion, but they will not look at theirs. As May's like, that works by me, as she drops off a ton of stuff. As they're they're looking through it, they have a decent understanding of some of the stuff that they're looking at. So they help her improve some of the things, and then others they have no idea what they're looking at. Such as her jump pack and such. They understand that, and they say it's pretty decent for how low her materials are. The jump boots are good, and gravitational, as she calls it. I believe she calls it her booster boots. as they're like, it's acceptable for what you have to work with. So that's the main thing they say, what you have acceptable, what you work with. She's like, oh, what, do you guys got like anti-gravity things? As they fall silent, as she's like, oh, you do? As he's like, we never said that. As they pretty much like push her on out of where their break room is, you could call it, saying that that is enough for today, as they leave. As Deku and them are all talking amongst the people while they have to go to the USJ. Deku and them sit there as everyone is excited. They're like, yeah, this is going to be so fun. As they all start talking about their quirks. As Deku and Sato, well, there had to be an extra large bus brought in for them. As they were also giving, like, they pretty much were, well, let's say they got a special ride. Like, they were able to hop in a car or something specially designed, as they were just pretty much toted along. As they just sat there just waiting. Sorry? As they didn't know what could happen here, but Deku decided to bring his plasma pistol, deciding that it may be better to have a weapon on hand just in case, because he feels like this would be the time that something goes terribly wrong. As for Sato, he brought both his power fists. He's like, well, they call it the Universal, well, hang on, USJ, Ultimate Simulation Joint or something like that? Universal Simulation Joint, I believe is what it's called. Like, they have something specific, I could probably deal with it, and Deku says, so can I. As Deku has also brought his chainsword, but he's keeping that in like a special case. He's like, very well. As they like get out of the back, they start walking as everyone's like still amazed on how gigantic they are. As Deku towers over every single one of them with Sato close behind him, Momo is like recalling to the point where Deku saved her and her family from a very terrible fate, as she still feels that great debt to him. So we get over to Izumi, as she's somewhat, it weirds her out how Sato's this big now, and that she always imagined that he would stay that somewhat cute, small person she knew. She classifies him as small because she knows giant people. Sato, looking at Izumi, says, whoever thought we would both go into UA like this? Well, I thought she was going to be here, but nah, you know. As Deku's just thinking, he's like, something is off. It's like that feeling I have had before. Let us hope it does not come again. As they approach it, they're just standing there as Deku speaks with Izumi, saying, do you feel that? She's like, yeah, there is something going wrong, but I can't put my finger on it. What do you think? He's like, I believe the warp is amiss again. Keep your eyes open. She's like, I will do my best, brother. Good, sister. As he says the same thing to Momo and Sato, as they're like, we'll be at the ready. As they're listening to the 13 prattle on about quirks and how dangerous they can be. Then they see the portal open up. It's like, as Deku says, I knew it. Izumi, lightning strikes now! As they start trying to shoot lightning, but then other abilities start flying out. As when they step through the portal, they see a figure that towering over all the two figures that tower over most of the well, actually grant that 4 figures that tower over the rest of them. As Deku looks closely, he's like, heretics. He's like, brother, be ready, sister. Counter any psychos you see. And they are about to take a step forward as they let it. As then there's a voice saying, we have come for All Might. Summon him so that he may be defeated at the hands of the League of Villains. As that's what Shigaraki is saying with his helmet. Like, I'm going to be adding a voice for Shigaraki now too. Shigaraki opens his mouth saying that we are the League of Villains, and we have come to strike down All Might, the symbol of peace. As well, Fulcrum, there we go. Fulcrum, which I believe is what I name the Chaos Space Marine. Sorry if I have that name wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Fulcrum. As Fulcrum stares there silently, as then he looks up and sees those wings, he's like, "It cannot be." Shigaraki, cut your... As he says, "Shigaraki, cut your monologue. The angel has arrived." He's like, "The angel?" He looks up and sees Deku standing along there with Sato as they move ahead of everybody. And Sato's like, "What should we do, brother?" It's like, "We do what we do best. Protect mankind." As Deku lets off with some of his plasma shots, as he's like, and just fires off a lot of rounds with them. As it's like, "Midoriya, what are you doing?" Those things down there, not all of them are real humans. As then he looks to the big bird thing, as he notices that thing ain't right. That he can feel that something's wrong with it, as Izumi's like, "That thing's an abomination." As Deku says, "Then we shall strike it down. Call for backup. Call any of the Psychas, anybody." As she uses her messages and such to signal across, talking to one of the astropaths of the lamenter, saying, "We need help. We need help." As she even sent one to her mom and to Inko and Hazashi, as they hear the call and they immediately get up, and Hazashi gets his armor strapped on. He's like, "More chaos, Marines. How can this be?" Izumi says, "I don't know, Hazashi, but we'll get there." As the Lamenters are mobilizing entirely. They're waking up Agron. As he's like, "More heretics to be slain." As they're all rushing to go deal with this, Deku and them are jumping down there and just moving forward. As it says, "Focus on the Chaos Marines." As it says, "Come, no, my student. Let our ultimate weapon be tested." As he gives a wave of his hand, the Nomu looks at him and rushes forward. As Deku just sees it coming at him, and he's barely able to dodge it. As it says, "Kill him, Nomu. Do it." As at that point, Izumi lifts it up and throws it across the USJ, saying, "It'll take a while for it to get back." As she notes how heavy and messed up it feels inside. Deku and, the sorcerer goes to fight one another, as Izumi's dropped off somewhere very far away, as Shigaraki was told about psychers and such, and knows that she's the most dangerous, as he's been given an order by Fulcrum to teleport the psycher away, as she's just teleported away. She's somewhere really, really cold, as she's like, "Where am I?" As she's shaking and shivering. She conjures some fire to try and keep herself warm, as she's like, "Mom, they just teleported me away. I don't know where I am. Deku and them are fighting some psyker and other space marines." As they're like, "Hurry, hurry." As Deku and, the Fulcrum is now using his psychic powers to boost his strength heavily, as now he's getting on par with, Sato in strength and maybe a bit in speed. As Deku and him are having Deku's trying to slice him up, trying to find ways to pierce his defenses, while Shigaraki stands there at the ready with Sato as they sort of clash. Sato's strength is easily able to overwhelm Shigaraki, but Fulcrum says, "Keep your eyes focused, Shigaraki. Your master does not want you dead yet. Only on his orders can you die." As Shigaraki does his best to avoid them, as he touches Sato a little bit, and the armor and such does degrade a little bit, but not a lot. As Shigaraki's like, as he grabs his chain axe, as he says, "Come." As he's like, As he has it where he can somewhat control the quirk canceling abilities. He can sort of stop his quirk somewhat from activating, as it took a long time of concentrating, but he was able to get it down somewhat. So with that, Shigaraki starts having a melee fight with Sato. As they notice all around them, the villains, or the little gang of villains, are starting to drop. Deku and them are like, yes, we're winning, Sato. Well done. As Deku takes a moment to notice that he's almost being a bit overwhelmed, as one of the villains has a knife and stabs right into Aizawa's side. Because he was a bit distracted and being in awe at Deku and Sato, realizing that they may have done something similar to this before. As then he feels the sharp pain in his right side. He's like, damn it, what was that? As he turns around, he sees the villains like grinning. As he sees things in their forehead, like 8 pointed stars and such. Then he goes to sort of smack him down. A villain like immediately tries to lunge at him, but in that lunging where Aizawa got out of the way, his weapon stabbed right into the other villain's heart, as he's like, what the? As then they just laughed maniacally. As this happens over and over again all around them. As the sorcerer is thinking, yes, continue to bring blood for a certain god. As eventually the villains are massacring each other without even Aizawa having to interfere, as he worries about the other children. As over elsewhere, well, Momo and them are pretty much just fighting back with everything they got. Shigaraki's like freezing people over, and well, Tailman, Suyu and whoever else are just waiting. There's like, what do we do? As they're just trying to figure out, we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. As well, with Deku, eventually the sorcerer orders for Shigaraki to take steps back, as Deku and Sato are teleported all the way back to the entrance of the USJ. As they stand back up, Shigaraki is able to get a hold of the Nomu eventually and brings it back. As Deku's like, damn it, that bird thing's back. As then they start hearing chanting like, oh, ya, bua, shua, moa. As then they're like, that's chanting. No! As they jump down and are starting to rush forward, they feel, as they see the blood from the center where all the villains massacred each other, meeting up, and as Deku's like, we must stop him now. As they go to try and move in, the Nobu easily throws them away. As Sato sort of tries to tackle it, the thing picks him up and throws him into Deku. As well, Space Marines, I don't believe Space Marines have anything on, well, All Might. I think that's a given. Some may disagree with me. I think All Might is stronger than Space Marines and such. I'm saying that. As Sato and Deku are like laying on one on top of each other, pretty much. Deku sees that the spell is beginning to finish. We gotta stop him before he summons something bad. As then he hears the final word: "We offer blood to you, Korn, god of slaughter." As then there's just an explosion of energy as Deku's like, oh no, we failed. Sato, be ready. As then they hear, I am here, with All Might smashing through the doors. As everyone else has gotten prepared and such, they feel that massive explosion of energy as Izumi on the other side of the planet feels it. And she's like, we must deal with this. As she's like trying to figure out, like, contact their mom, as they pick her up and then take her back over. As Hazashi is one of the first ones on the scene where he teleported over first. As he saw Deku and Sato there laying on the ground, as All Might had punched the Nomu into a building. It's like, what's wrong? As the Nomu stopped there because it hasn't been given any new orders, Hazashi's like, what is wrong, young Midoriya? As Deku says, that thing. It's here to kill us all. As All Might and Hazashi look over and see a creature with blood red skin, armor made out of brass. I believe that's what Korn favors. And a giant, like two, well, maybe let's go with a unique weapon. A giant serrated axe with, well, a giant serrated sword. Let's go with that for the most blood. As he stands there looking around, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Death to Slender!" As he takes a second, as he's like, "Where am I?" He smashes his foot on the ground as he says, "Kneel, Shigaraki." As Shigaraki's like, "But you said kneel." As they both kneel to him, it's like, "You puny mortals, why do you summon me?" It's like, "We bring you glorious battle, O mighty servant of Korn. There are many worthy opponents here, such as Space Marines and the Son of the Angel." As he hears the word, the Sons of the Angel, says, "Sanguinius, the one who tormented Kabanda, and the one who held the Eternity Gate." As it says, "Yes, that is who we speak of." As he looks over and sees, as Deku and Sato have finally been able to pick themselves up, as he sees Deku and sees the wings, his blood is boiling at this point, just pure excitement, ready to be unleashed upon worthy warriors. As he says, "You have done well. I shall see Korn reward you." As he summons more of his brethren for this mighty battle, even to go as far as bring some Kornate warriors that were fighting alongside him just a minute ago. He's like, "Warriors of Korn, battle awaits!" As they all scream, "Blood for the Blood God!" Deku thinks, "We're screwed. We're dead." No, not yet. Not till our final breath. As Deku and them ready themselves to fight this Kornate horde. As Deku and them ready themselves, as this Kornate, like this greater demon, is out, like sort of pumping up every warrior or Kornate berserker around him, as they're all just starting to like get more ravenous, as he's just like, "Prepare yourselves for slaughter in Korn's name. You're..." Sorry, my voice is trying to get a bit strained from doing this. "Korn will love you as trophies." As Deku and them are just thinking, we hold the line for now. Till our, as in they hear, as then there's just more teleportation. As Izumi and Inko appear. They're like, "Oh, thank God." As then they see a dreadnought, other warriors of the Lamenters, and even that militia that they had. As Aizawa and even All Might are amazed at this, they're like, "What is going on?" As the captain comes out saying, "Deku, Sato, are you battle ready?" As they stand up, "Always, chapter master captain." It's like, "Very well. Hazashi, I stand ready, brother." Then finally, we attack. "Lamenters, for those we cherish, we die in glory." Then it's echoed, then it's reverberated over dozens of times. And even the militia are reverbing the same word. They're like, "Charge!" As they all rush down the steps with All Might like, "What's going on?" As then he notices the Nomu is coming back. As he rushes forward, he's like, "Allow me to assist you." As he clashes with the Nomu, as those two start throwing punches. As the very large gusts of wind aren't enough to knock away the Lamenters, or even the Kornate Berserk warriors. As everyone's just charging in as they clash. And unfortunately, this is getting a bit long. So I'm going to have to cut it off. But let you be known, this is going to be the best battle scene I'll probably ever do in any other series. Excuse me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope you guys continue to enjoy this. I hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life.